YouTube, what's going on? Week 2 of 2021, Season 2 on iRacing. We are back in the Advanced MX5. This week we're driving around Brand's Hatch Indy circuit. Lovely little track for the MX5. Suits it perfectly if you ask me. Without any further ado, let's jump right in and learn how to drive this baby! So first things first, what we need to do is check out the weather, track conditions. Cheeky old mate used the VRS conditions just because it's super easy, handy dandy, can't recommend it enough, blah blah blah. All I ever do is go on our VRS. As you can see, 22 degrees C ambient temperature, 22 degrees C track, 10 to 6 in the evening, moderate usage, 50% track usage, so it's going to be rapid. What we need to do is make sure that we load my setup and not use the VRS one. My setup is a lot more stable than the VRS one. If you like to really crank on the wheel, you're going to like this a bit more if you ask me. Obviously, my opinion. Here it is for you now. It's available for you to download if you join the Discord. Link in the description down below, along with the olap file and the blap file. It's all there for you, along with some telemetry data. Let's just learn how to do the track, eh? Let's go. Let's drive. So, coming out the pits, once I've got rid of this indigestion, first thing we notice is obviously insane first turn, followed by an uphill braking into turn number 2 for a really tight hairpin. In the MX5, just keep it nice and tight through there. You can clobber all the curves and get on the power very aggressively. The key, I'd say, with the MX5 around this track is to push the absolute limit of the track. Limits. That's where you're going to find your time. And this last turn, carry speed into the corner and keep it nice and tight. Try and line up, get your car hooked up with the curb on the inside and on the power early, because you're carrying your speed down the longest straight on the track. So, braking point for turn number 1 is just after the 100 board. There's a little crest in the road there, which we'll highlight in the replay. Using all the track on exit, braking at the 50-meter board, down to second gear. Nice and tight, power on hard. Braking just after the 50. Trying to carry your speed through the corner, using all of this runoff. So much runoff to use there. Really need to abuse that. Flat through Surtees. Don't know if it's called Surtees on the Indy track, but hey ho. What we need to make sure is we haven't got a reference car that's going to annoy us. And so at the moment, picking up some pace, feeling quite nice. You know, as I say, it's a very simple track. Braking on the crest, leaving it in 4th gear. Did take a bit of curve, which did seem to help us a little bit compared to our last lap. Braking at the 50 board. You can push the braking a bit later than the 50 board there, but it's very fine margins because the track pulls away from you the closer you get to the corner. So you've really got to nail it. Up to 4th gear, flat out. Braking as our car approaches the curb, dropping it to 3rd. Slowed down a touch too much maybe. Or maybe it was just perfect. Up to 4th gear, and we might as well just see what happens if we keep it tight towards the line. 51.602. I will take that any day of the week. Should we break that back? Let's break that lap down. Alright, so I'm not going to lie, I'm very pleased with that lap. 51.602. Let's jump on board and see exactly how we did it. And I'm just going to roll it forward until we get to turn number 1. At 100 board, and then look at the brake there. Okay. So turn number 1 is very tricky. As you can see, 100 board on our left here. And if we roll it forward slowly, just frame by frame, car passes the 100 board. You can just see it just in the corner of the picture there. And then we begin to lift off the brakes, lift off the throttle, sorry. And then apply the brake. And if you can see this crest here, that's what I'm looking for. I suppose it's in line with this barrier here, the end of the barrier. That's where I brake in my mind. Because it's such a difficult turn which falls away from you, I'd advise just getting a consistent braking point is the most important thing. You just need to cover the brakes and hold them to get the car to control the car's speed and to give the car a bit of maneuverability to try and keep the weight on the front of the car so you can turn when you need to. Because you're going into this blind, you can't see the apex when you start braking. So if we play it slowly, as you can see, braking quite gently in fourth gear, and then we're off the brakes, back on the brakes. I didn't know whether I was going to understeer wide or whether I was going to end up on the curb. So just playing it by ear every single time I go through this turn, just making sure I brake around the 100 board. That's the key. On the power very early, and I am straddling the curb here. Probably not the ideal line to go through turn number one. Obviously, going over the curb on the grass, it's going to play with your traction. It's not something you really want to do, but it can give you a bit of extra rotation. So if you're carrying too much speed into the corner, it can help you that way. Again, there's probably a half a tenth in this turn one if I nailed it, but nice and smooth. Don't go full throttle whilst I'm on the curb to try and maintain a bit of traction. And then flat out as soon as we're on four wheels again. And using all the runoff on exit. Let's just play that back from chase cam, shall we? Braking by the crest. Straddling the curb. As you can see, I really do go up on two wheels there. Again, not ideal. Don't even get any more rotation from it. I just turn the car into a bike for a second and go on two wheels. I'd say try and avoid that, but it's not the end of the world if that happens to you. Just keep it smooth on the throttle if that happens. And then all the runoff on exit, heading into turn number two quite rapidly. This is an uphill braking zone, so you really need to abuse that if you ask me. You can brake later than you normally would. And again, the 50-meter board is what I aim for every single time. Let's just play it forward slowly. Braking at the 50, slamming it down the gears quite early and diving into this turn. As you can see, it's quite a narrow entry I've got there. This is because it's a very slow turn and the MX5 is great at low speeds. Keeping it nice and tight is the key here and getting on the power very early to get a bit of extra rotation in second gear. That's what I'd advise you to do. If we watch how I do this, coasting for a little bit and then almost full power straight away. Just because I was on the curb on the inside, I wasn't 100% confident we could go full throttle immediately, but probably about 90% throttle there, and it was beautiful if you ask me. Shallow entry, keeping it tight, coasting, power, and just shifting up to third on exit. You can use this runoff here on exit. I sort of use it. I tend not to, if I'm being perfectly honest. I think if you're out here, you're spending too much time driving over this way rather than towards the next turn. The MX5, it doesn't have a lot of power. It's all about shortening the distance around the track. So again, let's just watch this back in chase cam. Third gear, second gear. Look at that rotation when we hit second. All over the curbs. Lovely stuff. And then we're into this downhill left. Quite a tricky corner as you're heading towards the right-hand side of the track as you begin to brake. If you get this a little bit wrong, you can dip a wheel in the grass and get dragged out to the right-hand side. There is a touch of concrete that you can use just here, and you may want to utilise that. However, it is quite awkward in the MX5 as when you want to brake and start using that concrete, it's not there just yet. It's about 5 meters, 2 meters too late, sorry. So let's just play it through full speed. And as you'll see, just after the 50 board, I begin to cover the brake. Again, you're just controlling the car going into the corner, using a bit of the runoff on the entry, all the curb on the apex, and then absolutely buckets over that exit curb. And if you notice there, on the power so early, it was very, very soon on the power. We roll through it slower. As we go past the 50 board, we cover the brake, less than 50% brakes, just a stab, and we're coasting. Another little stab, and then full power. As you can see, I'm using absolutely every inch of the curb there, and we're just pinned, full power now, full power. Look at this lovely runoff. If I'm being honest, I could use more of it, could potentially take an extra mile an hour or two through that corner, but I like to think I got it pretty nice on this lap. Lovely stuff, lovely stuff. Once again, as you can see, there's about half a car width there that we could use. There's so much runoff to use, so bear that in mind. And then we're on the run up to, I'm going to call it Surtees. I don't think it is Surtees because it's the Indy track. However, on the entry, it's a flat out left now. On the entry, you can see there's some concrete here just before the 50 board. Use that just to make the track wider, give you a better angle, make the corner less sharp, all that stuff. You know the drill. Just flat out, turning in, keeping it smooth on the curb. And at this point, I'm looking towards the last turn, which is over here somewhere. It's probably over here somewhere where we need to apex. But we're thinking about our braking point, which is just here. It's where the curb sticks out. And we're just going to cover the brake and try and, well, we're going to shift down to third gear, cover the brake, and just try and control the car, keeping it tight, controlling the speed, not braking too much. This corner is all about carrying the speed nicely just up until just before the apex, and then we go full power. We need to stay full power all the way, otherwise we're just going to lose time. So let's play it through slowly first of all. As you can see, when we touch the curb, we brake just over 50%, and then we're holding on, maybe a little stab. No, I've got the confidence, and I just want to point out how early I am actually apexing. For me, normally, we'd want to apex a little bit later if we're in a different style of car. However, this MX5, it's got so much grip. It's all about taking such a short distance around the track. That's where we're going to gain our time. That's what we're looking to do. Almost as soon as this curb starts, we're on it. I'm almost full power already. And we're just keeping it pinned. Keeping it pinned. Obviously, there's going to be a bit of understeer, just the nature of the corner, but just trying to keep it smooth, using all of the track there, and then it's just the shortest distance possible to the start-finish line. So let's watch that again, full speed. Braking at the curb, trail braking, apexing early, power, power, power. Lovely stuff. I'm actually really pleased with that turn. I think it's the best I've probably taken it. And then we can watch it back one more time from the chase cam. So just flat out through Surtees and braking as we hit the curb. As I say, very, very simple. There's no secret marker or anything. Just as you hit the curb, nice and easy. And then on the entry, obviously, we're not going to swing all the way out wide. Fairly central in the track, just over to the left. But as I say, fairly central. And then just aiming for that curb. As soon as the curb starts to get wider, starts to get broader, that's when we want to be on it. Again, I'm already on full power. I've already done my decelerating. I'm ready to try and get my speed for the start-finish straight. Again, could probably use a bit more curb on the inside, but we're just picking up hundredths, if not thousandths there, so it doesn't really matter too much. And then we're up to fourth gear, and we're heading across the line for a time of 51.602. Alright, so now I'm going to play the lap through without me talking absolute drivel. Hope you enjoy. See you guys next time.